etc. We begin, as we do nightly. The best thing I saw today, on a night the Cavaliers hit a finals record from three, the best thing I saw was a bucket in the paint. Here comes LeBron James. Man, I've seen this in pickup games. I've seen this in actual games. I've never seen this in an NBA Finals game. LeBron James gets caught in midair, nowhere to go, flips it up off the glass to himself. Tristan Thompson, I've never seen a guy get postered by his own guy. He did. And Cleveland gets the victory, and there's a whole lot to unpack here with Game 4. Cleveland scored 49 points in the first quarter, only needed 3 quarters to hit 23s. That's a record for the finals. Just an outrageous offensive performance, which extends this series. Game 5 Monday on ABC. The officiating was a circus, just a confusing mess throughout. That, naturally, has everyone screaming about the league wanting a longer series, which conveniently ignores the shooting performance of the Cavaliers. But take your conspiracy theories out of it. The officiating simply wasn't up to the level of this stage. There was yet another Golden State shot to the junk, with tension simmering in the building. You had a fan get kicked out. There was a lot going on here. And for a double-digit win, it was start to finish a compelling and entertaining show. Tim Legler is alongside, as he has been throughout these finals, to get his first thoughts on this. And let's start with the good, which is what Cleveland did offensively. How do you account for what happened?
Well, absurd shot making, obviously. I mean, they made a ton of deep threes in the first half of that game. Warriors had some breakdowns, but for the most part, I just thought it was ridiculous shot making on the part of the Cavs. You had a guy like Kyrie Irving got going again. He was cooking. They have a really hard time the last 2 games corralling him. But I think the thing that jumped out to me right from the beginning of the game was this was the first time I thought Cleveland showed Golden State the appropriate amount of disrespect. That's how they treated them early in the game. They were throwing them around on loose balls, shoving them every chance they got, holding Curry the way that they did last year when they turned the series around. He couldn't get loose, playing on the high side of them. You saw a whole lot of jerseys being held. They treated it like a desperate street fight. It's the first time they've done it in this series, and I thought they really took it to them. Look, they shot 20 free throws in the first quarter.
22, I think it ended up being.
Okay, was it 22?
It ended up being. LeBron got fouled at the very end.
I stopped counting.
Yeah, well, it was you
22 free throws in the first quarter. To me, that set the tone for the entire game. Cleveland earned some of those. I thought some of them were really questionable calls. It was very inconsistent officiated game throughout, but the first quarter in particular, when you call that many free fouls in the beginning of the game, you're setting the tone. Golden State had to play from a point of foul trouble the rest of the half, and Cleveland got into a rhythm early in the game. It helped them, but I just thought they were more physical, more desperate, wanted it more.
If a game is officiated like this, and it's a Wednesday between, pick 2 teams, the Pelicans and the Kings, I don't care who it is, it blends into the fabric and it goes off into the ether. When a game on this stage is officiated this way, how ought it be digested?
Well, for me, it's out of control with how much emotion they're allowing right at the start of the game. And they're inconsistent with how they officiate the emotion. And Draymond Green's probably the biggest culprit, but everybody he called the tech and walked over to the middle of the floor. So no one really knew officially who he called that on, and that's why that became controversial later when Draymond gets this one for waving at the official.
We talk a ton off air, and not everything off air makes its way on air, and maybe not everything's supposed to, but you said something to me just moments ago walking in here about this was how badly...
This was one of the worst officiated games I've watched this year. Every single time they showed any sort of replay, it seemed like they missed it. Most of the night. A lot of, there was a play tonight where Kyrie Irving, by himself, crosses over between his legs, loses the ball untouched by anybody else, runs into the backcourt to pick it up, and they don't call backcourt. I mean, the official's 5 feet away from him. That's absolutely inconceivable to me on a finals game. And that's just a small sample of what went on in this game with the contact stuff.
And what's such a bummer is that at such a high level of offensive execution from Cleveland's side, that so much of the conversation turns into how it just felt like at all times this was on the verge of teetering out of control, the entire game.
Think about this. If you're Golden State, you held them to 35 fewer points in the second half, and you lost by 20. That kind of sums up Golden State's night. So I want, at the top of the list of what you want to dive into here, very layered game.
Sure.
The top thing has to be just the ridiculous shot making on the part of the Cleveland Cavaliers. Because, they put up 86 spot in the first half of a finals game against a great defensive team.
Tim, more to come from you. Let's welcome in Vince Carter.